Hello readers by eyes and by ears, this is Mari Chen and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are continuing with the reading of Devil Venerable Also Wants to Know, which is also known as 魔尊也想知道 by Cyan Wings or 青色羽翼. And we're covering a lot of ground today because it is Monday. So we are starting with chapter 27. And we'll either make it all the way to chapter 31 or 32. Regardless, we are finishing the first novel this week. I hope you all are excited. Chapter 27, Sleeping Through the Literature Conference. Azure Sky Mountain, outside 5 Willow Manor. Just like in the old days, the Lord of Demons was accompanied by his 2 protectors. His left protector stood at the side of his missing arm, while his right protector held a pipa, a silk veil over her face. She wore a thin blue robe which accentuated her figure and was playing the pipa for Wenren E. Inadvertently, she let the scar on her right arm show. It stood out starkly against her fair skin and must have been caused by some terrible injury, garnering the pity of anyone who saw it. They were at a library just outside 5 Willow Manor, which was a favorite place for mortal scholars to gather and read poetry or discuss literature. It was also a place where the Zhongli cultivation clan recruited disciples. The greatest difference between a cultivation clan and a sect was that a sect was situated apart from the mortal world, while a cultivation clan participated in it. The Jong-lee were a clan of learned scholars situated in 5 Willow Manor, and the main family were cultivators. The branch family would enter the court through the imperial exams, dedicating their lives to serving the emperor. This was the path of a cultivation clan. Just like Wenren E had sought the doll on the battlefield, the Zhongli clan took the path of sages, writing poetry or books to gain the acclaim of mortal academics and using that to advance in cultivation. In ancient times, the one known as the poet sage, the azure lotus immortal, of killing one man in 10 steps, unstoppable in 1,000 li fame, had also walked this path. Really quick footnote. That reference is to Baili. He was known as the householder of Azure Lotus or the poetry immortal. This quote is from his poem Ode to Gallantry, and that illustrates a Chinese wandering hero. Back to the reading. Therefore, each of the 4 major cultivation clans would accept disciples from the general public, and each generation, the clan head and successor would build up their own reputation. Their admirers and fame served as the foundation of their cultivation. The more people read books in the mortal world, the further their works would spread, and the greater the power of the Zhongli clan. They were split into the same ranks as the righteous and demonic cultivators, but their strength could be drastically different. Those disciples of cultivator clans with many fans would become more powerful the more highly they were thought of in the world. But if they didn't have fans, they might not even be able to defeat a body unity stage at Mahayana. The cultivation clans had originally been little known, but the Great Sect War, while causing the cultivation world heavy losses, ushered in a prosperous age for the mortal realm. More and more people had the chance to read books, and even the lower class could learn a few words, recite a few lines of poetry, and remember the names of some sages. Thus, the cultivation clan had now grown in influence. After the 50 years of prosperity won by the war, Zhongli Qian had the clout to steal Baili Qingmiao away from Shangqing's sect. This time around, because of Wenren E's personal interference in the Great Sect War, even more spiritual energy had been returned to the mortal realm, and the Zhongli family had grown influential and powerful in just 20 years. The library at 5 Willow Manor was bustling, and the fact that Wenren E and Yeen Hanjiang were able to get a window seat was only thanks to Yanyan forking over money. They had come because this was the day several young masters from the Zhongli family would discuss literature here. Scholars came from far and wide to attend, and no one could get in without an invitation. It was easy enough for them to bluff their way in with an illusion, but the seating was more trouble. Yanyan had pressed a silver into the doorman's hand and let her hand brush against his a little. He was only a foundation establishment cultivator and no match for Yanyan's seduction, so pocketed the silver in a daze and showed them to an out-of-the-way position. The Zhongli clan of young masters had not yet arrived, but the seats were already filled. A few people, seeing how Wenren E and Hanjiang were dressed like martial artists and not even wearing scholarly robes, yet had gotten such good seats, came over to pick a fight. They obviously weren't going to throw fists, but challenged them to recite poetry. Wenren E and Hanjiang could beat people in a fight perfectly fine, but they both frowned simultaneously when poetry was brought up. All the reciting sounded like the buzzing of flies beside their ears, and they thought that Yanyan's 12 heavenly demons would be easier to deal with. Fortunately, Yanyan was more cultured than they and, strumming her pipa, sang a few poems, the music and verse matching perfectly. She shamed the scholars into silence, and they bowed and bid farewell, leaving the group alone. Yanyan returned to her seat and gave Wenren E a fawning smile, transmitting, "Venerable, I did well, right?" Wenren E nodded slightly and raised one finger. Yanyan's eyes brightened. "My punishment can be reduced by 10 years?" she said excitedly. Wenren E shook his head. One year?" Yanyan pressed her lips together. 1 month, Wenren E said. Only a month. Okay. Only 1 month? Yanyan cried, feeling frantic. "Venerable, you said if I showed good results, my punishment would be decreased." "Capturing Zhongli Qian can be considered results," said Wenren E. "You haven't done anything at all yet." Yanyan didn't dare argue anymore with the Venerable and shrank back, tears filling her eyes. She looked so pitiful that the scholars watching nearly got up and started berating Wenren E and Hanjiang's lack of consideration for the fairer sex. Fortunately, the Zhongli clan's arrival spared the gathering from being massacred by the Lord of Demons. The current generation of the Zhongli family had 3 distinguished young masters. The highest ranking was Zhongli Qian, looking cultured and refined as he entered slowly, wearing white robes with a bamboo scroll in hand. He took the main seat, his bearing distinguished, each motion calm and at ease. In cloud-like dress, he raises a bow and takes aim at Sirius, Yanyan said, her eyes fixed to Zhongli Qian from the moment he entered. Footnote 2. This is a poem praising a sun god. She transmitted to Wenren E. "Venerable, do you know how much time I once spent studying poetry in order to foster the image of a cultured woman? It was just so I could hook up with young scholars like Zhongli Qian. Ah, he's amazing." Zhongli Qian was the most favored heir to the Zhongli clan. He had recently broken through to void boundary stage and naturally could sense Yanyan's gaze on him. He gave her a slight nod, then moved his gaze away and didn't look back. "Venerable," Yanyan transmitted in excitement. "The one we're supposed to lure in is him, right? He's the best. Back then, I used my seduction when he looked at me, but he wasn't affected at all. Have I actually found a true gentleman?" "If you can get him, he's yours," Wenren E transmitted back. If Zhongli Qian could be charmed by Yanyan, then there was no point in setting him up with the female lead. Wenren E didn't want to create another Wenzhao. He might as well wait for that ghost cultivator to grow up. It should only be 8 more years or so. No reason to let Yanyan test Zhongli Qian to see whether he really was a true gentleman. The two young masters accompanying Zhongli Qian were Zhongli Heng and Zhongli Kuang. Zhongli Heng wore a plain green robe and looked very dignified as he followed Zhongli Qian. Zhongli Kuang wore brocade and had a willful and frivolous look in his eyes. When Yanyan accidentally met his gaze, he raised his wine dish and made a toast to her in mid-air. Yanyan showed no reaction, turning away and ignoring him completely to sip at her tea. Without waiting for Wenren E to ask, she answered his question on her own. I've seen too many self-important men like Zhongli Kuang, always after women and liquor. Normally, I could fool around with him for a bit, seeing as his looks are okay. But now that I've caught sight of Zhongli Qian, my appetite's been whetted and I can't spare a glance for anyone else. Zhongli Kuang, upon seeing Yanyan ignore him, bared a malicious smile, excitement in his eyes. If Zhongli Heng hadn't quietly grabbed his robes, Zhongli Kuang might have charged right up to Yanyan to toast her. After the three Zhongli young masters sat, the meeting began. Zhongli Heng would first bring up a topic, and everyone would give their own view. Then, Zhongli Kuang would interrupt and shoot down a few people's ideas, which the majority would applaud for. Everyone was cursing each other out with polite language, and as the debates grew heated, Zhongli Qian rapped his bamboo scroll on his desk and said something that Wenren E didn't understand. The room suddenly went quiet and respectful, all following Zhongli Qian's lead. Wenren E's eyelids were drooping as he listened. Seeing Yanyan pick up her pen and start scribbling down notes, he scrubbed a hand over his face with some difficulty and suddenly felt someone's head bump his shoulder. He glanced over to see that Hanjiang had dozed off. Realizing that he had neglected propriety and invaded the Venerable's personal space, Hanjiang bit his bottom lip, his ears burning red. Venerable, this subordinate must have fallen under the Zhongli clan's enchantment, he transmitted. Wenren E held back a smile and transmitted back. If you hadn't hit this Venerable, I probably would have also fallen asleep. Ever since I was young, I always started dozing off the minute I heard poetry recitals. Who would have thought that even after becoming a cultivator, I'd be powerless to escape this curse? This subordinate is the same, Hanjiang said awkwardly. The two were a bit reinvigorated by their private conversation, but they couldn't resist in the end. As the meeting went on and Zhongli Kuang began asserting his own opinion again, Wenren E and Hanjiang had already stopped paying attention. Though their eyes were open, their heads were tipping toward each other's again, and they knocked each other awake a second time. Zhongli Kuang, who had kept glancing over at Yanyan, obviously noticed that the two men accompanying her were nodding off with their eyes open. Furiously, he addressed them. Do these two sirs have anything to add? In this literature meeting, everyone besides the three Zhongli young masters was all referred to as sir. Wenren E never expected someone to use sir to refer to him, and since he was half asleep, it took him a while to realize that Zhongli Kuang was talking to him. Zhongli Kuang was incensed at this and stood up. May I inquire as to these two's names, places of origin, and who they got recommendations from? Everyone's eyes turned to Wenren E and Hanjiang, and, seeing that they weren't dressed like scholars, a hubbub immediately broke out. Zhongli Kuang's attitude was unacceptably rude for Hanjiang, and after gaining Wenren E's approval, he said in a clear voice, It was not that we came here specifically, but simply caught wind that there would be a literature meeting today. My master and I have been troubled by insomnia for some days, and since we were already dozing off just listening from outside, we were very eager to attend. Indeed, we've been able to sleep very soundly, and must thank the honored people here. Hanjiang managed to offend everyone in the library all at once, and in particular, Zhongli Kuang's face darkened further. He gripped a brush in one hand, secretly circulating his spiritual energy, planning to teach the two a lesson. However, Zhongli Qian stood up. The purpose of the Zhongli family's literature conferences is to offer knowledge and aid to all members of society. Even if these two sirs are not interested in literature, Qian is still grateful that this conference could relieve your insomnia. His response was so excessively lenient that even Hanjiang couldn't stay angry. With just a few words, he managed to dissipate the tension in the room, and even if Zhongli Kuang wanted to throw a tantrum, he no longer had an excuse. Wenren E looked at him appreciatively. Cupping his hands, he said, "Many thanks to young Master Zhongli. We have indeed gained much from this visit." After Zhongli Qian smoothed out the situation, the conference continued, with no one minding when Wenren E and Hanjiang fell asleep again. After all, young Master Zhongli had said that books could heal the mind, and insomnia was a disorder of the mind. If the two sleeping men's ailment had been cured, then at least they had gained some result. "Protector Shu, I'm afraid you won't be able to get this man," Wenren E transmitted to Shu Yanyan. "I didn't know real gentlemen still existed in this world," Shu Yanyan said, propping her chin in her hand as she watched Zhongli Qian. "Now that I think about it, even if I can't get him with my hands, that'll just further prove his integrity. Just looking at someone like that from afar is good too." Everyone in attendance approved of Zhongli Qian. Only Zhongli Kuang, sitting to his left, had a malicious look in his eyes. Wenren E picked up on his ill intent and was watching him, trying to remember what importance he had to the story, when he felt an odd difference in the space between Zhongli Kuang's head, in which he saw the faint shape of a book. He was suddenly reminded of how he had obtained abusive romance. He had also felt a spatial disturbance above his head, and when he reached out, his hand had closed around the book. Seeing that the book was about to fall into Zhongli Kuang's lap, Wenren E picked up a book on his table and threw it at his head, just managing to knock the other one off course. "What are you doing?" Zhongli Kuang couldn't take it anymore and rose with a slap of his hand against the desk. "My hand slipped and I accidentally threw over 2 books. Wenren E replied casually. He turned to Shu Yanyan. "Can you go pick up those 2 books?" Shu Yanyan, sorry. Shu Yanyan, who was still under punishment, couldn't disobey the Venerable's order. She hurried over to Zhongli Kuang and, seeing that he was stepping on 2 books, said awkwardly, "Young master, I beg you to step aside." Her eyes were pitiful and sparkling with tears. Zhongli Kuang, with everyone looking at him, couldn't trouble an innocent girl. Seeing that Zhongli Qian's eyes were on him, he reluctantly moved his foot, allowing Shu Yanyan to retrieve the books. After thanking him, Shu Yanyan bent gracefully to pick them up. She saw that one of them was a book of poems she had brought, but the other was a tome as thick as a brick. Handing them back to Wenren E, she saw out of the corner of her eye the title in bold characters across the cover, God of Annihilation, Volume 1. Chapter 28. A Pile of Rubbish. When he tossed the book, Wenren E had put up an illusion, making it look like 2 books had flown over. As a Mahayana stage cultivator, it was easy for him to fool some mortals, and even Zhongli Kuang hadn't realized that there was only 1 book. Only Zhongli Qian swept over a suspicious glance. He had also caught a glimpse of the cover and knew it didn't belong to the library. But in that case, where had it come from? The Lord of Demons had no intention of explaining. Right when he saw the 2nd book appear, he no longer had any interest in staying at the conference. He transmitted to Shu Yanyan, "Use whatever method you can to separate Zhongli Qian from the Zhongli clan. If you can do that, your punishment will be decreased by 99 years. The last year would be for the 2 altar masters who had been locked in the water prison and the 2 who had been dragged to her bed. A year was nothing for Shu Yanyan, anyway. Hearing that her sentence would be lightened so much, her eyes brightened and she immediately replied, "This subordinate won't disappoint you." After issuing his command, Wenren E nodded to Zhongli Qian, then leapt out of the window so quickly that none of the ordinary people in attendance knew what happened. The 3 Zhongli young masters had noticed, however. Wenren E, after taking his leave of Zhongli Qian, had shown that he was a high-level cultivator. Not wanting to cause any trouble, Zhongli Qian turned his attention to the conference instead. Zhongli Kuang was fuming and was on the verge of flipping a table. Zhongli Qian smoothly took the brush out of his hand, turned around, and wrote a poem across the wall. His bearing was dignified, his brushstrokes free and graceful. Flecks of ink landed on his white sleeve, blossoming through the fabric. His literacy and bearing both stopped people in their tracks. Zhongli Kuang, after having his pen taken, knew Zhongli Qian wouldn't permit him to make a fuss anymore, and could only suppress his anger. He returned to his seat and gulped down a mouthful of wine. After the conference ended, the scholars all gathered around Zhongli Qian with praise, unwilling to leave. Zhongli Qian reassured them that 5 Willow Manor was open to all with a love for learning, and they were welcome to come back to the next discussion. Only then did they all leave happily. Yanyan kept her eyes at Zhongli Qian, only waiting until the end to get up. Seeing that Zhongli Qian really didn't pay any attention to her, she dejectedly walked out of the library. After going a few steps, she heard a voice call to her from behind. "Could this lady please wait?" Yanyan put on a soft smile, and when she turned around to see Zhongli Kuang, she thought that even if she couldn't get the shark fin soup, she could still make do. The important part was that Zhongli Kuang could be used to lure out Zhongli Qian. If she could get a hold of Zhongli Qian, the Venerable would return her darlings to her. Yanyan was willing to occasionally pick a weed from the roadside for the sake of a forest. Meanwhile, after getting the book, Wenren E immediately flew to a faraway mountain range with Yeen Hanjiang. Only after setting up an array and having Yeen Hanjiang stand guard outside was he finally willing to start reading. Just the first volume of God of Annihilation was about equal to Abusive Romance in thickness, another doorstopper of over 1,000,000 words. Wenren E created a table and chair and sat down to study it. He spent 3 days and nights reading it non-stop. After finishing, Wenren E was left with some troubling thoughts. Objectively speaking, if this book had been an ordinary book, he should have enjoyed it. Some of the plot points were genuinely exciting, and he had wanted to applaud the protagonist several times. The protagonist of the story was a male who had lived in an unremarkable small town in his youth. His father was never mentioned, and he took painstaking care of his ill mother. He was a ringleader of the other penniless kids, but the rich children next door would often bully him, and even their servants would look down on him. But the protagonist told himself that he would prove them wrong someday and make his way up in the world. One winter, he left to gather firewood in the mountains. When he returned, he found the entire village silent. Running in, he discovered that everyone had been slaughtered. The boy fell to his knees, crying, and the sound drew the attention of a passing cultivator. The boy returned with him to his sect and was found to have a rare spiritual root. His path of cultivation was opened up before him. In his sect, he became the Shushiong everyone looked up to, but there was a dark shadow in his heart. He was still focused on finding the assailant who had murdered his family and friends. His master had told him that the village might have been massacred by demonic cultivators as part of some evil technique, so he vowed to destroy the demonic sects and dedicated himself to cultivation. After reaching Foundation Establishment, he left the sect and, meeting the family that had once bullied him, which had moved away and avoided the massacre, he took vengeance on them viciously. Later, he became the sect master and took in many supporters. Among them was a bastard son of a cultivation clan, a good-hearted demonic cultivator, a wandering cultivator who had gone down the wrong path, and elders who treated him as their equals. He was also fortunate enough to meet an ancient deity who became his master, helping him through many dangers and earning his deepest gratitude. He had also met many and varied female companions who were all willing to share him with them. His main wife, whom he respected highly, kept everyone in line. At the end of the first volume, he had, with the help of his master, finally entrapped and killed the number one demonic cultivator and the one he had suspected of killing his family. However, he subsequently found new clues that pointed to the murderer being someone else, an immortal from the upper realms. In order to find his nemesis, the male lead took his most talented little Shimei and ascended to the immortal realm, ending the first volume. At the end was a message that those who wished to know how the story continued in the immortal realm should pick up God of Annihilation Volume 2. There was nothing wrong with the story itself, per se, but if he mentioned the names of the characters, the matter would be different. The main character of God of Annihilation was Wenzhao. I knew it. His main wife was the Violet Spirit Pavilion Master. His headstrong and disobedient Shimei was Baili Qingmiao, and one of his friends was Zhongli Kuang, and the demonic cultivator he killed at the end was Wenren E. By taking another point of view, this book had turned the plot of abusive romance completely on its head. The events were the same between the two, but Baili Qingmiao had one perspective in abusive romance, and Wenzhao had a different one in God of Annihilation. For example, when Baili Qingmiao was imprisoned, it was because the Violet Spirit Master Pavilion had pointed out, right before her wedding to Wenzhao, that her fate was governed by Polis, and she would always be followed by death and disaster. In order to protect his beloved Shimei, Wenzhao had locked her up in the mountains to prevent anyone from getting to her. From Baili Qingmiao's point of view, it was because Wenzhao had heard that the Violet Spirit Pavilion Master had a medicine that could save the sect master, and when he went to ask for it, the Pavilion Master took a liking to him and made it a condition to marry her. Wenzhao had told Baili Qingmiao to be patient and not to fuss, then locked her up in order to prevent her from disrupting the wedding. Wenren E. ... And as for the part where Zhongli Qian ran into Baili Qingmiao and rescued her, from Baili Qingmiao's point of view, she was grateful to have been saved from a place that had hurt her. But for Wenzhao it was, bad news, someone stole the protagonist's wife. Better hurry and go kill that two-faced bastard. Wenren E. ... If he hadn't been the villainous mastermind who died at the end, Wenren E might have really believed the twisted facts of God of Annihilation. The first page of God of Annihilation had a passage similar to what Abusive Romance had, but where Abusive Romance had said, "Due to an overabundance of plot holes, this story has been rejected by its readers. Thus, the most popular character among the readers has been selected to personally verify the story's consistency and make subtle changes." God of Annihilation's message read, "Due to the story deviating from its original plan, it has been rejected by its readers. Thus, the most loyal character to the protagonist has been selected in order to change inconsistencies with the original work." God of Annihilation had appeared above Zhongli Kuang's head, so he must be the most loyal character to the protagonist. He was a supporting character in the story, just like Wenren E. Wenren E placed both books on the table and considered them deeply. The appearance of God of Annihilation confirmed further for him that the world he lived in was real. The characters in it had their own thoughts and intentions, and were not subject to any outside control. One of the books was merely the female lead, Baili Qingmiao's view on the world, whereas the other was the view of the male lead, Wenzhao. They showed the same world filtered through two different lenses. If Wenren E had become the protagonist, it would probably lead to another, completely different book. To Baili Qingmiao, Wenren E was her savior who sacrificed himself in the blood hell for her sake. But for Wenzhao, Wenren E was his sworn enemy who had killed his family and taken his girl. His strength couldn't match up to Wenren E, so in order to take down the villain who had single-handedly masterminded the Great Sect War, he asked for help from the master who lived in his body. Wenren E was surrounded and killed at the blood hell, and Wenzhao managed to rescue his poor Shimei from his clutches. The story of God of Annihilation seemed to be more logical than Abusive Romance, or at least all the readers could follow the protagonist's actions. But if you ask Wenren E, it was a pile of rubbish. Wenren placed the hand on the cover and said coldly, "Planning to use the blood hell to do away with this Venerable? This Venerable would like to see if you have what it takes." He put away the books and took down the array. Seeing Yeen Hanjiang standing guard outside, he asked, "Has the Right Protector reported any news?" "The Right Protector sent word yesterday that she had already gotten her hands on Zhongli Kuang and was going to use him as bait for Zhongli Qian. According to Zhongli Kuang, Zhongli Qian is powerful and has an immortal artifact on him, so maybe a tough opponent. The Right Protector hopes the Venerable will lend a hand in order to ensure Zhongli Qian's capture," Yin Hanjiang replied. Wenren E didn't respond, just turned into a streak of crimson light, picked up Yin Hanjiang, and returned to Azure Sky Mountain in scarcely the blink of an eye. Zhongli Kuang's house was outside Five Willow Manor, and Yanyan was currently living in the courtyard, having daily dalliances with Zhongli Kuang. After they were done, she would also recite poetry or paint with him, not enjoying herself in the least. When Wenren E barged in, Zhongli Kuang was in the sheets with Yanyan. Seeing two people suddenly appear in his room, he was shocked and prepared to attack when a blood-red flower bloomed before his eyes, and he lost consciousness. "Right Protector," Wenren E said coldly, a book in one hand. "Steal his nascent soul, turn him into a puppet, and use his soul as bait for Zhongli Qian." "Ha! Sweet!" Yanyan said, her eyes brightening. She immediately put a palm against Zhongli Kuang's dantian and extracted his nascent soul in no time, a task she was quite practiced in. You people!" Zhongli Kuang could only manage these two words before the wicked woman by his side destroyed his foundation forever. Chapter 29. Poisonous Woman. "Venerable." Yanyan presented Zhongli Kuang's nascent soul to Wenren E with both hands. "It's yours," Wenren E said, not sparing her a glance. "Put your clothes on." He had underestimated Yanyan's ruthlessness. He thought that Yanyan would at least put on her clothes and fight Zhongli Kuang head-on, but instead she had taken action immediately with only a thin blanket wrapped around her. Forget Zhongli Kuang. Wenren E had been taken by surprise after giving the order himself. Zhongli Kuang was also a decisive person, and seeing that Yanyan had wasted no time in turning on him, also immediately abandoned his body and nascent soul, trying to escape as a spirit. However, the black-robed youth standing near him was prepared for anything and drew his sword to cut off the fleeing soul's path. "Who are you people? If you kill me, the Zhongli clan won't forgive you," Zhongli Kuang's soul stammered out. "Really?" said Wenren E. "Didn't you always believe that Zhongli clan didn't recognize you and was willing to dispose of you at any time to further Zhongli Qian's interests?" Zhongli Kuang's soul wavered at having his deepest thoughts be guessed. People might be able to lie, but it was difficult for a soul to do so, and Wenren E noticed immediately that his words had struck home. As they spoke, Yanyan had already put on her clothes. She climbed off the bed with perfect grace, and, if she wasn't still holding Zhongli Kuang's corpse, like body, she would have looked like a painting. Her fingers were like claws, digging into Zhongli Kuang's head as she dragged his body on the floor. Yet a warm smile graced her face. Poisonous woman was certainly a fitting description for her. "Venerable, Zhongli Kuang leaked a lot of intel in these last few days," Yanyan said. "Anytime I said something good about Zhongli Qian, he would always call him a self-righteous fake, power-hungry, and always mistreating branch family members and bastard children like him. Seeing how deep his resentment for Zhongli Qian is, if you ask this subordinate, the Venerable got it in one." "You seductress!" Resentment suffused Zhongli Kuang's soul, pouring out as black smoke. Yanyan smiled. "What if I'm a seductress? You really think seductresses have no standards? I originally had eyes for Zhongli Qian, not you, and I can't believe how much of a self-important loser you are either. I don't want to absorb your nascent soul. If I refined it into elixir and rewarded my subordinates with it, they would at least have some sweet words for me in exchange." This Venerable seems to recall that Protector Shu no longer has subordinates, Wenren E said, giving Shu Yanyan a sideways glance. Shu Yanyan's face fell and her carefree posture slumped. She said obediently, "The entire Xuanyuan sect belongs to the Venerable. This subordinate is your vanguard and will—" Ow! Why are you kicking me? Yeen Hanjiang, upon hearing vanguard, couldn't help but give her a kick in the kneecap. "Alcade is not this Venerable's vanguard," Wenren E said. "You are my right arm." Yeen Hanjiang pulled back his foot and gave Shu Yanyan a nod. Vanguard. Shu Yanyan. ... If she'd known earlier that Wenren E had actually survived battling 21 righteous sect experts, she would have let go of her concern for Qiu Congxue and went after him while he was down. There was nothing she could do about it now. She made a misplay, and now she was a fish for Wenren E to gut in any way he liked. The ever-flexible right protector said, "Venerable, I'll refine Zhongli Kuang's body into a puppet right now." "No!" Zhongli Kuang's soul cried. Aren't you after Zhongli Qian? I hate him. I want him dead. If you give me my body back, I'll trick him for you. I don't care what you want to do with him." Even if his nascent soul was taken, he could use some sort of elixir to restore it, but if his body was refined, he could only become a ghost cultivator. "You sure say what you think," Wenren E said. Zhongli Kuang had been this kind of person in God of Annihilation too, openly proclaiming his hate for Zhongli Qian in front of Wenzhao, swearing that he would kill him and take over the Zhongli clan. Wenzhao resented Zhongli Qian at the time for taking his beloved Shimei away and bonded with Zhongli Kuang over their shared nemesis. He also transferred his resentment he held from being bullied by rich children to Zhongli Qian, believing that rich heirs who grew up pampered like him were all just scumbags and womanizers. Thus, Wenzhao and his secret master helped Zhongli Kuang plot against Zhongli Qian, destroying his reputation and power along with it. Zhongli Kuang, who had stolen his good name, eventually killed him. These events were never mentioned in Abusive Romance, where Zhongli Qian never showed up again after Baili Qingmiao rejected his offer, still insisting on staying with her Shishong. Zhongli Qian was a true gentleman, and he left quietly after telling Baili Qingmiao that she could come to Five Willow Manor any time she was in trouble. Who knew that after he let Baili Qingmiao go, he was killed by Wenzhao and Zhongli Kuang? The most interesting part was that, in the reviews of Abusive Romance, the ones regarding Zhongli Qian were mostly, "Sob! Zhongli Qian is too good, really a true gentleman, respecting and protecting the MC and wanting to spend his life with her. And yet, when Baili Qingmiao chose Wenzhao again, he let her go and told her, 'I can forever be your second option.' I love him so much." If Baili Qingmiao doesn't plan on using her eyeballs, she can donate them to someone in need. Sorry. Don't let that pair of big sparkling eyes go to waste. Every time she looks at Wenren E, Zhongli Qian, Yeen Hanjiang, her eyes are always sparkling. The word sparkling is triggering me by now. Cross out Yeen Hanjiang up there. We don't want him. No one wants Yeen Hanjiang? I think the murderous psycho type is kind of hot. With two hotties like Zhongli Qian and Wenren E right in front of her, each with their own qualifications, Baili Qingmiao has to choose someone like Wenzhao. This bitch is seriously blind. At least when she gets tortured to death by Wenzhao, her organs can go to someone in need. But the reviews regarding Zhongli Qian in God of Annihilation were completely different. "He should die for stealing the MC's girl. Zhongli Qian disgusts me. What do you mean? If I can't give you happiness, then better I let go? Where do you get off sounding so self-righteous after stealing someone's girl? Don't you know that every woman in the world belongs to my Zhao Ge? Yes, Zhao Ge finally killed off Zhongli Qian. Ha! Shimei is way too rebellious. Just think, among all his wives, Zhao Ge loves little Shimei the most. Every time he gets into danger, it's for Shimei. Yet she's not faithful at all and runs off with other men every chance she gets. She even attacked Xinye. Xinye is so cute, always dedicated to Zhao Ge, offering her own body and golden cord to save Zhao Ge. That's my kind of girl. Yet, Zhao Ge tosses Xinye aside to save little Shimei, who's always going after some other guy? I can't stand women like that. How does Baili Qingmiao have the nerve to say Zhao Ge? Zhonglee's Qian has also been good to me. Wenren E may be the Lord of Demons, but he is honest in his words and actions and worthy of respect. Don't make me barf. Is the author reading this? Don't give such a fickle woman to our Zhao Ge. She can't hold a candle to the violet spirit master. Wenren E decided to do everything he could to hide God of Annihilation. If Yeen Hanjiang read it, he would have a chi deviation out of anger. Zhongli Kuang's soul knelt in mid-air, begging Wenren E to spare his life. Wenren E smiled, then ordered Yanyan, "Refine it." "I've already started," Yanyan said with a glance at the soul, as she started reciting an incantation and refining his body into a puppet. "What should we do with the soul? If Qiu Congxue was here, we could just give it to her for her heart-devouring ghost mother technique." Wenren E hadn't revealed the fact that Qiu Congxue was undercover at Shangqing's sect yet, so Yanyan still thought her soul had been sublimated by the great peacock Wisdom King, and looked a bit gloomy as she mentioned her name. "Take one of his earthly souls and turn it into a talisman to send to Zhongli Qian," Wenren E said. "Tell him to leave the mountain by himself and not to let anyone accompany him, or Zhongli Kuang's soul will be thrown to hungry ghosts, never to enter reincarnation." No, please, Zhongli Kuang said, crying and wailing. "I can use the secret password of the Zhongli clan to get Zhongli Qian down the mountain. Don't take away my soul. I'm begging you." Humans had 3 divine souls and 7 earthly souls. If they lost an earthly soul, they would be mentally disabled in their next life. If they lost any divine souls, they could only reincarnate as an animal and could never become a human again. Zhongli Kuang would rather enter reincarnation right now than lose one of his souls. Unfortunately, the 3 heartless demonic cultivators paid no heed to his pitiful cries. Yanyan yanked out one of his earthly souls and made it into a talisman, and Zhongli Kuang immediately became listless, his weeping turning faint. The earthly souls governed emotions, love, hate, desire, sadness, anguish, rage, and joy. Yanyan had removed the soul governing hate, which had the most clear target and would be able to find Zhongli Qian easily, ignoring everyone else in his family to deliver itself right into his hands. "What are you crying for?" Yanyan said after sending out the talisman, flickering Zhongli Kuang's spirit. "The Venerable is letting you see with your own eyes whether or not Zhongli Qian is a real gentleman." She had used a very gentle method to take his earthly soul, and even though it had been turned into a talisman, it could be rejoined to his spirit later. Zhongli Qian would realize that Zhongli Kuang could still be saved upon seeing the talisman, and if he was really willing to risk his life to save him, that would prove he was a good elder brother who protected his juniors. Wenren E and his companions set up a trap over the mountain for Zhongli Qian, as Zhongli Kuang's spirit sobbed for a while. "He won't come for me. He'd be happy to see a bastard like me die. He's a hypocrite who'd take any chance to get rid of me." They waited until midnight, whereupon a white-robed figure came to the designated location under the bright moonlight. Standing before Wenren E's array, Zhongli Qian said, "Qian has arrived as promised. If I am your target, I hope you honorable individuals can release my little brother's soul to be reincarnated." Yanyan appeared before him, holding Zhongli Kuang's soul. "Zhongli Qian, it should be clear to you that our target is you. As the heir of the Zhongli clan, your importance far outweighs a bastard son like Zhongli Kuang. Why would you risk your life for him?" "It's not Qian that's important, but the Zhongli clan," Zhongli Qian said calmly. "The reason I am placed above others is not because my cultivation is strong, but because the reputation of the Zhongli clan that has been built up over many years rests on my shoulders. Without the Zhongli clan, I am just an ordinary cultivator. It doesn't matter if Zhongli Qian dies, but the Zhongli clan cannot abandon a single one of its members. Each of them make up the foundation of the Zhongli clan. Shu Yanyan secretly approved of Zhongli Qian, but her expression didn't show it. I removed Zhongli Kuang's hatred soul. You should have been able to read from it his resentment of you. He wants you to fall from grace, wants to kill you and dismember your corpse. Knowing that, why did you come save him? Even saints ought to have their limits. This protector has taken a liking to you, but I like saints with true intentions, not idiots. I know, Zhongli Qian said, cupping his hands. To tell the truth, I also dislike this little brother of mine. He is arrogant, thoughtless, and unreliable. Yet you still want to save him? Wenren revealed himself. He looked over Zhongli Qian, mystified as to his thought process. Wenren had unleashed the pressure of a Mahayana-level expert, and Zhongli Qian paled, realizing that he had met with trouble. He let out a long sigh. I still want to save him. I, Zhongli Qian, can die, but the Dao of the Zhongli clan cannot crumble. The Zhongli clan's heritage was the path of gentlemen. Zhongli Qian held the clan's entire path, and if he failed to abide by it, the Zhongli clan would fall. Coming out tonight to save Zhongli Kuang, the worst outcome could be that he died without accomplishing anything, but the Zhongli clan's Dao would stand regardless. The clan had many branches, from which they could simply pick the most outstanding candidate to inherit their Dao. But if at this point Zhongli Qian didn't come to save Zhongli Kuang, the entire Zhongli clan and their Dao would all crumble. Even if one was cheating the heavens, one still had to do it properly. They could only accomplish it if you bluffed until you yourself believed it and actually became what you said you were. In abusive romance, Baili Qingmiao often said that Zhongli Qian always looked tired, and that she wished he would relax a bit, smile a little easier. Zhongli Qian always answered that he had a responsibility, and though it was tiring, it was worthwhile. In his life, the only time he had let go of his responsibilities and path was when he asked Baili Qingmiao if she would leave with him and wander the world. He could select someone else in the clan to take up his position, and they could accompany each other to the ends of the earth as true cultivation partners. Sadly, Baili Qingmiao refused him. Looking at Zhongli Qian, Shu Yanyan sighed inwardly and transmitted to Wenren Venerable, your subordinate is powerless against this man. Wenren didn't speak, and Shu Yanyan continued. If I wanted to get this man, I would have to give up the whole forest. Too bad I'm greedy by nature, and will never dedicate myself to one person. She ordered the puppet made from Zhongli Kuang's corpse to take his soul and step before Zhongli Qian. Be quiet, close your eyes, and don't move, she said gently. I will return this trash to you. Zhongli Qian obeyed and closed his eyes. Shu Yanyan stroked his face, then gave him a quick peck on the cheek. She drew back and turned to Wenren saying coldly, Venerable, should I cripple him too? Even Wenren and Yeen Hanjiang were surprised by how two-faced Shu Yanyan could be. Refocusing, Wenren said, No need. Bring him back to Xuanyuan sect. As for Zhongli Kuang, let his soul and body return to the Zhongli clan, and force him to reveal all his thoughts when he gets there. Let his own clan clean up the mess. Chapter 30. Deep in its clutches. After Zhongli Qian watched Zhongli Kuang's soul and puppeted body depart, his tense expression relaxed slightly. The fact that he didn't like his younger brother had nothing to do with his parentage, but it was purely because of his behavior. Now that he was returned, whether the Zhongli clan wanted to save him or send him on to his next life was no longer Zhongli Qian's business. Seeing as you're a magnanimous person, this Venerable won't try to deceive you, said Wenren This Venerable is Wenren of Xuanyuan sect. So, it is Sir Wenren, Zhongli Qian said in shock, and quickly cupped his hands in greeting. After Sir Wenren's battle with 21 experts of the righteous sects 12 years ago, you can be considered the strongest in the cultivation world. Though we walk different paths, I have deep admiration for you and wish to offer thanks on the behalf of all mortal lives. The Zhongli clan wasn't sided with the righteous or demonic sects and was considered a neutral party. A major event like the Great Sect War had of course been much talked about among the 4 great cultivation clans. Those who understood the ways of heaven naturally realized that both the righteous and demonic sides' goal was to avoid a 10,000-year great calamity, and the ease with which the demonic cultivators had broken the spirit-severing array 2 years ago allowed many to guess Wenren E's true intentions. The rise of the cultivation clans was related to Wenren E's actions, and since they weren't affiliated with the righteous sects, they were grateful to him. Qian spoke with sincerity, not a hint of pretense in his words, and Yanyan couldn't help but glance at Wenren E. She couldn't understand why he was interested in Qian. Xuanyuan sect had no connections to the cultivation clans, nor any grudge, and Wenren E wasn't someone who would mistreat innocents. He may not be intending to kill Qian, but holding some deeper intentions. You have a good character, and this Venerable doesn't intend to harm you, Wenren E said. This Venerable just wants to keep you as a guest of Xuanyuan sect for a few days. I am a reasonable man who does not wish to pressure others. You can choose to be our guest standing up or lying down. Zhongli stared for a moment. Knowing that the 3 before him were demonic cultivators, and seeing how mercilessly they had treated Zhongli Kuang, he had never expected he would be allowed to live. If there was even a single ray of hope, Zhongli would fight with all his strength. But facing Wenren E, the combined strength of the Zhongli clan might not be enough, let alone Zhongli himself. This one, of course, hopes to be Xuanyuan sect's guest in good health, Zhongli answered. Well spoken. Wenren E nodded, satisfied. Come then, Right Protector, watch over young Master Zhongli along the way. If he isn't the one who arrives to Xuanyuan sect, this Venerable will feed your nascent soul to the beasts living on the mountain. He spoke without a hint of jest, then left with Yeen Hanjiang to Xuanyuan sect, not concerned at all about Zhongli escaping. Tears flowed down Xu Yanyan's face as she spoke to Zhongli. Young Master Zhongli, you don't need to worry. I'm still the Xuanyuan sect's right protector. Even if there are mountains of people who can replace me, the Venerable... he might not necessarily turn me into dog food. She cried like a rain-drenched flower as she continued. I'm also reluctant to bring an upstanding young man like you to Xuanyuan sect to be tormented by that devil. If you were to escape along the way, I'll make sure to turn a blind eye. Even if he feeds me to dogs later, you mustn't blame yourself. Zhongli. He was a gentleman, not a stupid man. Wenren E had spoken to Xu Yanyan for his benefit, to prevent him from escaping. He also understood that Wenren E wouldn't speak empty words. The Lord of Demons held no mercy in his eyes, and though he looked upon his left protector Yeen Hanjiang with endless lenience, he really would feed Xu Yanyan to beasts. There's no need for Protector Xu to worry, said Zhongli. I won't try to escape. Since Sir Wenren genuinely wishes for me to be his guest, escaping could bring trouble to the entire Five Willow Manor. As he doesn't intend to kill me immediately, I imagine he needs me to do something. As for what it was, or whether it would violate Zhongli principles, he decided to not think about it for now and deal with everything as it came. Xu Yanyan's tears stopped at once. She wiped them away with her handkerchief and said seriously, I thought scholars were all brain dead, but you're actually pretty sharp. Zhongli bowed and said, This one also thanks Protector Xu for her trust. Huh? What for? Xu Yanyan raised an eyebrow. Protector Xu may have been putting on an act, but you didn't try to hide it. The fact that you trusted I wouldn't try to escape meant you trusted my character. Naturally, this one should thank you. Xu Yanyan stared at him and shook her head with a sigh. Best I can't get you. Zhongli. ... After their conversation, they made their way smoothly back to Xuanyuan sect. Currently, all the workers at the main hall were Xu Yanyan's subordinates, and all manner of beautiful men were tidying up around the place, not allowed to use spiritual energy. Upon seeing Xu Yanyan bringing home an even better-looking man, and not a type she'd ever had dealings with before, they were all anxious. Yan approached and threw an arm around her waist, gazing at her tenderly. "Protector, it's been so long. Your subordinate has missed you." Xu Yanyan took a book from her lapel and presented it to his chest. "Go read some books and cultivate your character." After bringing Zhongli Qian to a guest room, she went to see Wenren E. By now, Wenren E had explained Zhongli Qian's relationship to Baili Qingmiao in the book to Yeen Hanjiang. He explained, "This Venerable was thinking of, after having Baili Qingmiao owe enough debts of gratitude to Zhongli Qiao to cancel out the karma of her divine tribulation, killing her, then having Zhongli Qian find her reincarnation and raise her. That way, she should forget about Wenzhao for good." Yeen Hanjiang didn't think there was anything wrong with this plan and praised, "The Venerable is wise." It wasn't his idea, and Wenren E didn't like taking credit for other people's work. He waved a hand and said, "This Venerable thought of it from Altar Master Yuan's and Qiu's words. Altar Master Yuan wanted to change the subject of her affections, and Altar Master Qiu once told Baili Qingmiao to kill Wenzhao and wait for his reincarnation. This Venerable believes Baili Qingmiao may be beyond saving in this life, so we'll just put our hopes on the next one." Hearing "change the object of her affections" gave Yeen Hanjiang pause, and after some thought he said, "Affections that run deep enough can persist after reincarnation. It's possible even Mengpo's soup won't be able to erase Baili Qingmiao's obsession." Really quick footnote, Mengpo is an old woman who serves the soup of forgetfulness to souls awaiting reincarnation in the afterlife. Returning to the reading. "Is that true?" Wenren E glanced at Yeen Hanjiang. "It would be for me," Yeen Hanjiang said resolutely. After some thought, Wenren E said, "Well, this is troublesome, but we should still try it. Let's start from planning out Zhongli Qian and Baili Qingmiao's meeting." Yeen Hanjiang was still doing all he could to make Wenren E's job easier. In order to confirm the plan with him, he asked, "Because of the Venerable's actions, Baili Qingmiao and Zhongli Qian's first meeting will now be far different from what was destined. Will Zhongli Qian really fall for her again?" An awkward silence suddenly fell over the room. After some time, Wenren E slowly spoke. "This Venerable seems to have overlooked that." Right then, Xu Yanyan arrived to ask what she should do with the newly settled-in Zhongli Qian. Wenren E ordered her to come to the meeting room and immediately asked upon seeing her. "Protector Xu is well versed in matters of love. Do you know how to make a man fall in love with a woman?" "It depends on the man," Xu Yanyan replied. Wenren E didn't beat around the bush. Zhongli Qian. Since Xu Yanyan was going to be involved in the whole plan, there was no point hiding anything from her. Hearing his name, Xu Yanyan brightened up and raised her head. "Venerable, Zhongli Qian is a rare man with brains, even sharper than I assumed. Tricks won't work against him, so we can only be alert. Have him know very well what he's getting into, but have no other choice. For example, if the Venerable were to have the subordinate seduce him, and also let him know I would be punished if I failed, that could work as long as he doesn't already have a person in his heart. He wouldn't fall in love with me, though, and if he does already have someone, then no plots are going to work." "This Venerable didn't say you were the woman," Wenren E said coldly. Xu Yanyan lost interest in a flash. She said lazily, "This subordinate has never wished for love, only for pleasure. This subordinate doesn't understand that kind of deep-seated emotion." "Does anyone in Xuanyuan's sect?" asked Wenren E. He got no answer. Very few in Xuanyuan's sect cared for matters of love. After dismissing Xu Yanyan, Wenren E opened Abusive Romance and reread Baili Qingmiao's meeting with Zhongli Qian several times, hoping to find some inspiration. Yeen Hanjiang stood quietly behind him, not looking at the book's contents, instead focusing all his attention on Wenren E. Yeen Hanjiang didn't understand love either. The only strong emotions he'd felt in his life were for Wenren E. It wasn't just because Wenren E had once saved him, but that Wenren E represented all of Yeen Hanjiang's hopes and dreams. Venerable, does the book say what love is? Yin Hanjiang asked. It mentions a few things, Wenren E said, flipping through the pages to find the part where Baili Qingmiao analyzed her feelings for her Wenzhao. It was when Zhongli Qian had told Baili Qingmiao of his wishes, asking her to abandon Shangqing's sect and stay by his side. She had said, I don't know what's so good about Shushong. I just know that if he was in a crowd, my eyes would pick him out instantly. If he's happy, I'm happy. If he's unhappy, then I can't bear it. I would be willing to give up everything for him to live a blissful life. I don't know when I started liking him either. I suppose it was one of those loves that takes you unawares, and before you know it, you're deep in his clutches. Baili Qingmiao smiled bitterly. I've tried to forget Shushong before. If I didn't love him, then I wouldn't need to suffer. But I couldn't do it. This is probably just my fate. Wenren E pointed out the passage to Yin Hanjiang. This is what we need. If we can accomplish these 3 things, Zhongli Qian should fall in love with her. He wrote them down and carefully considered each of them. The first was to pick the other person instantly out of a crowd. He could put the tracking spell on Zhongli Qian and Baili Qingmiao. If each had the other's blood dripped into their eyes, they would only be able to see each other. The second was being happy when the other person was happy, and sad when they were sad. He could have Altar Master Miao put heart-linking parasites in them, so that wherever they were, they would always feel each other's emotions. The third one, love takes you unawares, and before you know it, you're deep in his clutches. It was a bit harder. He wasn't quite clear on the meaning. For now, he decided to focus on the first 2 and consider the third some other time. Having finally come up with a plan, Wenren E let out a breath. After doing this, the rest was up to heaven's will. If Baili Qingmiao still couldn't change, then he could always kill her and try again in her next life. He sent word to Altar Masters Shi and Miao to tell them to prepare the spell and parasite, then messaged Qiu Congxue, telling her to get Baili Qingmiao to Xuanyuan's sect sometime soon. Yin Hanjiang picked up the piece of paper with Wenren E's notes, and after reading it, his fingertips began to tremble. He stole a glance at Wenren E's back and read to himself the final line. Love takes you unawares, and before you know it, you're deep in its clutches. Chapter 31. Happy Marriage. Content warning: attempted suicide. Zhongli Qian was prepared to be tortured every which way by Xuanyuan's sect, to be forced to do things that violated his morals, and maybe even lose his life and soul. He had already decided that, no matter what Wenren E did to him, he'd choose a path that would not violate his Dao. On the second day at Xuanyuan's sect, though, he was taken to the Hellfire Pavilion without having seen Wenren E once in that time. Shu Yanyan handed him over to a pale and sickly-looking man, who she called Altar Master Shi. He was apparently the new master of the Hellfire Pavilion. "He needs to be taken to my place," said Altar Master Shi, coughing harshly. "The Hellfire Pavilion is under Ghost Peak, and I'm too scared to go there myself. You want me to take him there?" "There's no way. You're the master of Hellfire Pavilion. You can't even handle your own estate, yet you try to compete for the position of sect master with the other altar masters? What were you thinking?" Shu Yanyan was experienced at reading people, but she now realized that she still hadn't figured out this previously unknown subordinate of Qiu Congxue's. "It's because I'm scared to go back there that I went with Altar Master Yuan's plan to sabotage Altar Masters Miao and Ren." Altar Master Shi's face turned paler. "With my power and status, how could I become the Lord of Demons? I just have a tiny wish, just to change altars. I didn't think it would turn out to be such a mess." He hacked out a couple of bugs. They were Altar Master Miao's goo insects, which had been put in him as punishment. "You even killed Altar Master Miao's bugs with your sickness. So how can you be scared of the Hellfire Pavilion?" Yanyan said, backing away a few steps. She was quietly glad that Wenren had showed up before she could enjoy Altar Master Zhen and Shi. She might have ended up catching some sort of illness. Altar Master Shi gave her a sullen glance. Protector Shu, I heard you got along well with Altar Master Qiu. In that case, you should know what kind of subordinates she kept at the Hellfire Pavilion. Who says I got along with Qiu Congxue? She was a ghost cultivator, so of course all her subordinates are ghost cultivators, aside from you. At that point, Shu Yanyan understood Altar Master Shi's problem. Altar Master Shi was at void boundary and could even sicken Mahayana stage cultivators, so he wasn't to be underestimated. No Altar Master would feel secure with him as a subordinate. But at the Hellfire Pavilion, everyone was either dead bodies or ghosts, and the one with the best preserved body was a 1,000-year-old drought zombie. So who could Altar Master Shi sicken? How could he bring his subordinates in line? Back when the Venerable took control of Xuanyuan's sect, he visited me just once, and Protector Yeen came down with illness because of that. After that, he sent me to Hellfire Pavilion for the unity of the sect. Altar Master Shi wiped away some fake tears. After becoming Altar Master, I went through a lot of trouble to force a couple of injured ghost cultivators who were body unity and into submission, and now, for the Venerable's orders, I had to send off some to dual cultivate with Altar Master Zhen. Protector Shu, does my job sound easy? Shu Yanyan didn't speak. Altar Master Shi looked at Zhongli Qian and said, Young Master Zhongli, you're an upstanding man, and you know how they say, if you don't do crooked deeds during the day, you won't fear ghosts knocking at night. This one is counting on you to protect him in the Hellfire Pavilion, okay? Zhongli Qian, ... Like that, he followed Altar Master Shi Congxin to the Hellfire Pavilion under Ghost Peak. Altar Master Shi managed to find a non-haunted room to tidy up for him. Zhongli Qian couldn't tell how old the building was, but the pillars had oracle bone scripture written on them. Altar Master Shi had heard Zhongli Qian liked literature, so had somehow gotten a pile of bamboo scrolls to send to him. Quick footnote: the writing system was used in Bronze Age China from 1200 to 1050 BC. Returning to the reading. An ominous aura surrounded the scrolls, and some had suspicious bloodstains on them. On a few of them, when the date and manner of someone's death was recorded, there would be a note in the margins along the lines of, "Bullshit, I clearly didn't die that way," or "Turns out I'm only worth one line in the history books," or "History is a bunch of lies. I can't believe they wrote that I died while screwing. Ugh, I'm so mad I could come back to life." Zhongli Qian decided not to think too deep about who had written them. Aside from those few points, the situation wasn't too bad. Though, Altar Master Shi had taken 2 drops of blood from Zhongli Qian's finger, which made him kind of worried. At the time, he had said, "The 4 great cultivation clans can spread prolifically without fear of their bloodline being used to curse their core members because they all have techniques for blocking bloodline curses. You won't be able to use my blood against the Zhongli clan in any way." Altar Master Shi let out a long sigh, an anxious look on his face. Along with his sickly appearance, he looked so miserable that even with all of Zhongli Qian's resolution, he couldn't help but ask, "Altar Master, what is troubling you?" Nothing much. Just a certain person is about to return." Altar Master Shi gave Zhongli Qian a serious sideways glance. "She's human. How could she be human?" Zhongli Qian, ... The people at Xuanyuan's sect were all eccentric, constantly saying things he didn't understand and didn't want to think too deeply about. Knowing his blood wouldn't harm the Zhongli clan, Zhongli Qian could relax and read books at the Hellfire Pavilion. 3 months passed like that. In that time, his only visitor was Altar Master Shi, who dropped by occasionally for chats, saying that he wanted to hang out with a human being. Wenren E hadn't actually wanted to abandon Zhongli Qian for 3 months. The Zhongli clan had already sent many requests to meet with him, which he all turned down. He didn't care to see any of them before he had accomplished his goal. Qiu Congxue hadn't been able to bring Baili Qingmiao to the Hellfire Pavilion for 3 months because a major event had happened at Shanqing's sect. Wenren E had read about it too, from both books, in both points of view. Abusive Romance, Revised Edition, recorded how Baili Qingmiao returned cheerfully to her sect with the Lotus Heart, looking forward to her Shushong finally being healed. However, upon returning, she heard disastrous news. Like in the original work, Wenzhao had had relations with Xinye. Xinye's spiritual root had been mostly drained, and she'd nearly lost her life, having to be sent to the medicinal hall to recover. Wenzhao's injury was too severe and couldn't be restored even by Xinye's sacrifice, but he did recover to Foundation Establishment stage. He knew that he had disrespected Xinye while injured and unconscious, and was filled with turmoil, so left alone in order to find a cure for her, returning just before Baili Qingmiao's return. He didn't find any cure, but did manage to raise his own realm to deity transformation. He said that he had found a cave where a great immortal dwelled, and had raised his level using an elixir he had been gifted. Wenzhao promised that since he had risen in strength, he would surely be able to find a way to heal Xinye in the future, and so begged for another chance from the sect elders. Shangqing's sect didn't have many powerful elders left, and being deity transformation already put Wenzhao among the top ranks of the cultivation world. Faced with such a rare talent, they naturally couldn't put any blame on him and overlooked justice for Xinye. While Wenzhao was in high spirits, Baili Qingmiao returned to the sect and hadn't even managed to bring him the Lotus Heart when she heard what happened in the administration hall. She started weeping on the spot and cried so hard she was nearly overcome by inner demons, right until her master Qinzhong and the administration hall elder Qing-yeh came running to comfort her. Wenzhao had also rushed over and started explaining himself just as he had in the original story, telling her with full honesty that he had been unaware at the time and that he didn't like Liu Shimei, that he hoped for Baili Qingmiao's forgiveness. He said he was ashamed to face Liu Shimei and wished for Baili Qingmiao to join him in finding a way to heal her. He was an expert at sweet-talking people, and Baili Qingmiao was on the verge of falling for it like she originally had. She not only forgave Wenzhao, but ran over to the room where Liu Xinye was recuperating, wanting to give her the 7-colored lotus heart to repay Shuxiong's debt to her. Right when she was about to mention it, Elder Qingxue, who had been flipping through Shangqing's sex rules with a frown on her face, said some words that changed everything. Why doesn't Wenzhao marry Liu Xinye? Everyone. ... She held up the rule book and pointed out a line. It says right here that if 2 disciples of Shangqing's sect both agree, they can ask the sect master for permission to become cultivation partners. Hearing this, Liu Xinye's watery eyes fell on Wenzhao, waiting for his answer. Baili Qingmiao never imagined her master would say something like this. This would destroy her future with her Shuxiong. How could she accept it? Well, said Elder Qing-yue, look at the specifications, Qingxue. Both parties need to be at nascent soul stage to become cultivation partners. Liu Xinye still hasn't reached nascent soul stage. Is she still capable of it? Asked Qingxue. Everyone. ... Qingxue struck deep with that one comment. Liu Xinye slumped against the wall, sobbing. It's true. I'm useless now. I'm just a burden if I remain here, so I might as well end it all. Saying that, she attempted to strike her head against the wall, but with so many people in the room, they all rushed to stop her. Wenzhao managed to throw his arms around her first. With an uncomfortable look on his face, he said, But I love... He had just promised Baili Qingmiao he would love her and only her, but now couldn't spit out the words in front of Liu Xinye. He could only give Baili Qingmiao a helpless look, asking her to beg Elder Qingxue to reconsider. Seeing his expression, Baili Qingmiao seemed to lose her mind, throwing her arms around Qingshue's waist and sobbing. Master Qingxue, I love Shuxiong. If he gets married, then what about me? It's not like it's hopeless, Qingxue said, sweetly patting Baili Qingmiao on the head. She pointed a finger at Liu Xinye. Look at her. She's not going to last for more than 10 years. You can just take her spot after she dies. Baili... Oh my god. Okay. Baili Qingmiao died. Qingshue's words may have been crude, but her reasoning was solid. Her exceedingly straightforward manner of thinking actually convinced the Shangqing sect elders. I need a moment. Since Liu Xinye had saved Wenzhao, he owed the rest of his life to her. And if he didn't repay her, he would eventually suffer consequences from heaven. He might as well just marry Liu Xinye to absolve his debt and guilt. As for Baili Qingmiao, it was as Elder Qingxue had said. Cultivators were ageless and could live for millennia, so they could wait for Liu Xinye to die to get married if they had to. After the elders discussed this between themselves, they agreed to the wedding. Baili Qingmiao had wanted to bring out the lotus heart to give to Liu Xinye, so she wouldn't need to marry Shuxiong, but Qingxue reminded her. The lotus heart will bring her right to deity transformation stage. She'll be even more qualified to marry Wenzhao. After crying for a whole night, Baili Qingmiao begged her master to let her leave so she could avoid the wedding. She felt like she was possessed. The miracle elixir, which could save Liu Shijie, was right in her storage bag, but she didn't want to hand it over. She thought about spending a decade wandering the world and forgetting her troubles, and after 10 years, if Liu Xinye was still alive, she would return and give the lotus heart to her, and at the same time finally let go of Shuxiong. Right now, she couldn't bring herself to do it, so better she let fate decide. Qingxue was very much in favor of her decision, and several days before Wenzhao and Liu Xinye were set to get married, they left Shangqing sect together. At the foot of the mountain, Baili Qingmiao turned back to look at its lofty peaks and, remembering that in 5 days her Shuxiong would be married, was happy that at least Master Qingxue would stay by her side. The revisions stopped here, so Wenren E flipped to the comments in the back. I approve of this marriage. Congratulations to the new happy couple. Qingshue's thought process is killing me. How can she say Liu Xinye is only going to live 10 years with a straight face? Masterfully done. Now that he's married to Liu Xinye, we'll see if Wenzhao has the face to marry the Violet Spirit Master. In the original, he had the right to because he was single as well as the future sect master of Shangqing sect. But now, well, I'm looking forward to what happens. He can have both them and make one his concubine. Keep revising, author. I'm rooting for you. Never thought I'd follow a revision of this old trashy story so intensely. I believe you can strike gold again, author. Pleased, Wenren E set the book down and picked up God of Annihilation. The events were about the same as Abusive Romance, just expanding on how, when Wenzhao had left the mountain, he had found, with the help of his portable master, the Blood Demon Elder, a powerful relic, and raised his realm with it. The events after he returned to the sect were the same, but the reviews were wildly different. Why is this being revised? It was perfectly good as it was, so why does it need a revision? I'm so confused. Probably censorship. They won't let the MC have a harem. A lot of other authors have revised. That's all understandable, but what's with this plot line? If Zhao Ge can have all the beauties, then I quite like Liu Xinye. But if it's only her, then she's just too mediocre. Not as talented as little Shirmei, not as smart as the Violet Spirit Master. Average looks. Even if he can have all of them, the main wife shouldn't be Liu Xinye. She can't compare. She's not worth the MC at all. Is that new wandering immortal Elder Qingxue a villain? Back then, I thought she was Zhao Ge's new wife. I hate Qingxue the most of the female characters. Aside from demonic cultivator Yanyan, the author is really talented to be able to make these two beautiful girls this vicious. The difference in the reviews was like night and day. Considering them, Wenren E decided he rather preferred abusive romance's discussion page. The comments seemed more normal there. Venerable, Qiu Congxue has returned, Hanjiang said outside the door. Hanjiang hadn't been sticking as close to Wenren E lately. Typically, if Wenren E didn't shoo him away, he'd always stand behind him, even in his room. He didn't know when Hanjiang had started staying outside his room and staying guard by the door instead. What about Baili Qingmiao? Wenren E asked. Her blood's been taken, and she's been sent to the Hellfire Pavilion, Hanjiang said outside. Altar Master Qiu and Protector Shu have started fighting in the main hall. Should something be done? Wenren E opened the door. Hanjiang, who had been standing right next to it, lurched back several steps to put distance between them. Wenren E gave him an odd look, but before he could ask, he heard the sound of smashing rocks outside. His expression immediately turned cold, and he said, "Come with this Venerable." Chapter 32. Shi Congxin's God. Shu Yanyan and Qiu Congxue had a simple reason for fighting. Qiu Congxue had reported to the main hall after dropping Baili Qingmiao off at the Hellfire Pavilion, where she bumped into Shu Yanyan. Shu Yanyan had known Qiu Congxue was still alive and stared at her for a time, unable to take her eyes away. Now that Qiu Congxue was a wandering immortal, she had a full body under the black robe and had lost her eerie rack of white bones and the bloodthirsty ghosts she kept around, so she was a little self-conscious. She had avoided all her subordinates at the Hellfire Pavilion, afraid her reputation as a ghost cultivator would be damaged. Seeing Shu Yanyan stare at her, she immediately assumed she was being mocked. "What right do you have to look at me?" she said in annoyance. "Why can't I look at you?" said Shu Yanyan, raising her head proudly. "It's your honor to have this protector look your way." Thus, the two had started fighting. There was really nothing else to it. When Wenren E arrived with Hanjiang, Qiu Congxue was chasing Shu Yanyan around the mountainside, while Altar Master Yuan snuck in an attack every once in a while, yelling, "I'll teach you to take in such disgusting subordinates. I'll kill you." Here we go again. In this short time, Altar Master Yuan had learned to fix his language. Wenren E nodded in satisfaction. His Xuanyuan sect was finally shaping up. Is it? Oh, God. Stop. Wenren E raised his voice, the 7-killing halberd in one hand. The three felt a pressure far surpassing that of a Mahayana stage cultivator and were unable to determine just what level Wenren E was at now. They immediately stopped fighting and knelt before him. "Venerable, this subordinate..." Qiu Congxue blurted out first. "This Venerable knows," Wenren E said. "You can stay in the main hall for now. When the task is finished, bring Baili Qingmiao back to Xiangqing sect." "Venerable, how about my Hellfire Pavilion?" Qiu Congxue showed some rare hesitation. "Never mind. Shi Congxin can have it." Her current position in Xuanyuan sect was a bit awkward. Qiu Congxue had been beating Shu Yanyan handily in their battle, and was possibly the strongest person in Xuanyuan sect aside from Wenren E. But the positions of the altar masters and the two protectors were all filled. Qiu Congxue glanced over to altar masters Yuan and Ren, racking her brains to consider who she should kill to steal their domain. Altar Master Yuan felt his hair stand on end from her gaze and quickly said, "Venerable, the main hall must handle many different affairs and cooperate with the other altar masters. Altar Master Qiu's temperament isn't suited to managing it. If you ask me, Altar Master Yuan's tortoiseshell pavilion is more suitable." "You're quite the schemer, aren't you?" Altar Master Yuan spat. "No need for concern," Wenren E said. This Venerable has already made a decision. Altar Master Qiu has offered great services and can be promoted to Sect Protector, ranking above the 4 Altar Masters. Oh. Shu Yanyan's expression froze. She didn't dare to defy Wenren E, and instead glanced over at Altar Master Yuan, her eyes venomous. If she couldn't be Sect Protector, she could at least be the main hall master. Sweat dripped down Altar Master Yuan's face. He could dodge Qiu Congxue by saying that she wasn't smart enough, but how was he supposed to get past Shu Yanyan? This Venerable was referring to the position of left protector, Wenren E said. Shu Yanyan and the Altar Masters all let out a breath. Now that Qiu Congxue was raised to the same position as Shu Yanyan, she was pleased enough that her inferiority complex faded some. Yeen Hanjiang watched Wenren E without a hint of concern at losing his position. Power and status never mattered to him. The things that Shu Yanyan and the Altar Masters fought over so viciously were things the Venerable would toss him without a thought. Feeling Yeen Hanjiang's gaze, Wenren E said, "Former Left Protector Yeen Hanjiang will now be the deputy sect leader of Xuanyuan sect. From now on, his words can be considered my words." Just as expected, Yeen Hanjiang lowered his head calmly. This was the kind of person his Venerable was. Shu Yanyan furrowed her brows, feeling that something was off. Only until Wenren E left for the Hellfire Pavilion with sect leader Yeen and Altar Master Miao did she realize. Yeen Hanjiang, who used to be at the same position as her, now stood higher, and Qiu Congxue was now equal to her, so her position in the sect had actually fallen. She'd initially been happy to find out Qiu Congxue had survived, but now? The left and right protectors shared a glance, enmity obvious in each other's eyes. Wenren E didn't care how well his new protector got along with the old. Ditching Altar Master Miao, whose light flash was slower, he flew Yeen Hanjiang to Hellfire Pavilion. Landing, he asked, "Protector Yeen. No, Sect Leader Yeen. You've seemed dispirited as of late. Are you unsatisfied with this Venerable's arrangements?" Shu Yanyan would have started picking apart what he could have meant by this line, whether or not he was dissatisfied with her, how she should reply. Yeen Hanjiang didn't consider any of that and answered honestly. Now that he stands one step closer to the Venerable, this subordinate hardly knows how to express his joy, so how can he be unsatisfied? Why do I feel like you're further from me these days? Wenren E looked closely at Yeen Hanjiang, but he had his head bowed, not showing his face. With some displeasure, Wenren E said, "This Venerable doesn't like it when you kneel, and doesn't like it when you lower your head. This Venerable doesn't like not being able to see your face." Obediently, Yeen Hanjiang raised his head and looked directly at Wenren E. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. It seemed to be admiration, but other things Wenren E couldn't recognize were mixed in. "That's better," he said. "You're now the deputy sect leader. Your words and actions represent this Venerable. Show some spirit." Understood. Yeen Hanjiang's expression gradually became more firm. His feelings toward his Venerable would not affect their relationship. The fact that the most important person to Yeen Hanjiang was Wenren E hadn't changed. That alone was sufficient. Wenren E was very concerned with what would happen between Baili Qingmiao and Zhongli Qian, so concealed himself and Yeen Hanjiang and headed to Baili Qingmiao's cell. Baili Qingmiao had been blindfolded and tied to a wooden bed. Sitting in a chair by the bed was Altar Master Shi. The Hellfire Pavilion was constantly shrouded in Yeen energy. The sunlight couldn't shine directly in, so gloom filled it even at midday. Altar Master Shi placed an oil lamp on the desk, coughed lightly twice, and took out a needle, heating the point over the lamp's flame. "Who are you?" Baili Qingmiao said, her voice trembling slightly. Her chest heaved up and down in fear, but she still steadied her voice and said, "Where's my master? What have you done to her? If you harm even a hair on her head, I'll pay you back 10 times, 100 times. Shi Congxin broke into a fit of coughing before he could speak. After it subsided, he said, No one dares to touch her. You should be worrying about yourself right now. With 2 needles in his hands, he pricked the tip of Baili Qingmiao's middle finger with one, extracting 2 drops of blood. After setting it aside, he brought over the next one, with Zhongli Qian's blood on it, and took off Baili Qingmiao's blindfold. Opening her eyes, Baili Qingmiao found herself in a shadowy room, a sickly man sitting beside her. He looked young, not more than his 20s, and his skin was so pale that his fingertips appeared a bit translucent in the lamplight. He wore a thin, white single robe with a black overcoat thrown over, its dark brown fur collar making his face look even paler by contrast. His long lashes were lowered as he focused on the needle in his hand. Mentally reciting a spell, he rapidly made several hand signs with his free hand, at a speed Baili Qingmiao had never seen before, such that his movements were just a blur. "Set!" Shi Congxin barked, his index and middle finger pointing to the needle. The curse was now complete. Now he would just need to drip both drops of blood into Baili Qingmiao's eyes, and from then on, no matter where she was, the first thing in her sight would always be Zhongli Qian. Thinking about it, in all my years of laying down curses, I've never gotten such a strange curse request, Qiu Congxue said as he began dripping the blood. The Venerable sure is a mysterious man. He first did her left eye. When moving to her right, his hand suddenly jolted, causing the second drop to miss her eye and slide down her nose. What's this?" Altarmaster Shi raised his emaciated hand, looking it over front and back. "Strange. Why did it shake? What did you do to me? What do you put in my eye?" Baili Qingmiao said with gritted teeth, just managing to hold back tears. Her tears were for the people who loved her, not for her enemies to see her weakness. Baili Qingmiao might cry a lot, but she wouldn't do something so pointless at a time like this. Something's not right. Altarmaster Shi's eyes fell on Baili Qingmiao's face, and he suddenly froze. Wenren E, watching from outside, also felt that something was wrong with Shi Congxin. He quickly flipped through Abusive Romance, finding that the words in it were changing furiously. Originally, on the day of Wenzhao's marriage to the Violet Spirit Master, Baili Qingmiao had escaped with the help of Zhongli Qian and separated from him after exchanging names. The night after the wedding, she also ran into Wenren E, who had been looking out for her. Wenren E had sat with her through that torturous night and promised her he would bring the cowherd and weaver girl stars together. Today just happened to be the wedding of Wenzhao and Liu Xinye. Love interests number 2 and 3 weren't there for Baili Qingmiao. There was only Shi Congxin, who was busy cursing her. Wenren E watched the words on the page become. Shi Congxin looked at Baili Qingmiao's tear-stained face, captivated by her frail yet resolute expression. In the firelight, Baili Qingmiao's body seemed to be shrouded in a thin layer of divine light. Shi Congxin's heart was moved. Wenren E. ... The divine light again. Shi Congxin could also see the divine light? And this passage had clearly been intended for Wenren E, with just the name changed. That passage had appeared in Shi Congxin's mind too. He raised the lamp, closely examining Baili Qingmiao's face, then felt his fingers to read her fortune. When he got his answer, he started coughing violently. He coughed so hard it seemed he was about to hack up a lung. Even the sound chilled Baili Qingmiao's blood. She thought the person next to her might drop dead at any second. Wenren E frowned. Hanjiang put on the ghost mask and flashed inside the room. He picked up Shi Congxin in one hand and hauled him out, leaving Baili Qingmiao alone and bewildered inside. Venerable... Shi Congxin coughed for ages before he managed to recover. Gasping for breath, he said, "It seems this subordinate can't act against her." "Why?" This subordinate cultivates illness among the 7 forms of human suffering: birth, old age, illness, death, resentment, parting, and desire. This is a principle that originates from Buddhism, and those who cultivate it must allow their body to be plagued by all kinds of illnesses and ailments, and experience the depths of human suffering in order to awaken to the greater Tao. Back then, when I looked at that girl, I felt the might of a god. It felt like she was meant to be this subordinate superior, higher than Altar Master Qiu or the Venerable. No, not higher than the Venerable. When the subordinate looked at her, it felt like when Altar Master Miao's goo insects look at their queen. It felt like I was possessed, wanting to live and die for her and give up everything for her. Wenren E. ... In Baili Qingmiao's previous life, she had ruled disasters, plagues, and wars, and was the source of Shi Congxin's Dao. Even if he ascended to godhood later, he would be one of her servants. Okay. Well, you guys, we have reached the ending of, what was it? Chapters 27 through 30 freaking 2. And I totally intended for this video for today to be a longer day because it's for Monday. But we've covered, 6 chapters. And I feel like I can't read any more, to stuff them onto the thumbnail for this YouTube video. So I might read more and just post the video later in Monday, or maybe just keep things the same. I don't know, but this video isn't as long as I intended it to be, but we covered a lot of chapters. And you guys, technically I think there are about 400 pages or so in this entire first novel, and right now the next chapter starts on 346, so we're almost there. Anyway, let's go ahead and review my notes. And I have so many, which is also why I feel like I should just stop reading, because I don't want to have too many notes. And yeah. So starting with chapter 27, which was sleeping through the literature conference. Maybe giving the titles as I go ahead and do the reviews for this one will kind of help jog your memory, or at least it's jogging mine since I'm reading these over the course of the weekend. But so my quote for the day is pretty much going to be blank blank for the win. So let's start with the first person, Yanyan for the win, for getting them into the conference and singing poems while playing her pipa. Badass right there. Showed a little bit more of her cultured side, because so far we had only been seeing her seductive side, essentially the scheming in that arena. But to see like, oh look, she knows poetry and she knows how to play an instrument, gives her a little something extra. Do I like her? Still not at the moment. I think she's just a woman and that's whatever. But yeah, let's go. Then my next point, not gonna lie, when it said that Zhongli Kwang looked at Xu Yanyan, but she showed complete disinterest in him, and it said that made him excited, I pegged him as disgusting already. And I'm sure y'all know where my brain was going. Not necessarily all the way down that road, but I was just like, I'm very wary of men who are excited when a woman shows disinterest, because that just, y'all know. I don't think I need to elaborate. So anyway, I guess nice to see things didn't take that turn or anything like that. I mean, they did still end up in bed with each other, but she was the one that, got them in bed together. So everything was fine. Next person for the win, Yeen Hanjiang for the win. Because when they were falling asleep, oh my gosh, the excuse that he made up that both of them had really, really bad insomnia and that this literature conference was helping them sleep. I was like, okay, Yeen, you better come up with that exceptional excuse. That was really good. Like really, really good. I was proud of him for that. Now, who's not for the win is Wenren E. Because because when he threw the book at Zhongli Kwang, I'm sorry, y'all. His excuse was so lame. How did you accidentally let your book slip? You threw a book at someone. There's just no getting around that. So, not him for the win. Anyway, speaking of this new book, God of Annihilation, Volume 1? A book within a book that's based off another book in the book, and but just from a different point of view. This is exciting. And not gonna lie, I don't like Wenzhao as a character, but I do think it's very cool that there is a book that is coming from his perspective, because we get more insight into his character. And good character or not, good or bad person, it's nice to get a different perspective, because right now we are getting Devil Venerable Wants to Know from Wenren E's perspective. Then we have Abusive Romance from Baili Qingmiao. So it's nice to have the perspective of the other protagonist or whatever, the male lead in the book that Wenren E is reading, Abusive Romance. So super cool. Moving on to my note for chapter 28, which I only have one. It's a pile of rubbish. That was basically after he was reading God of Annihilation. It makes sense that God of Annihilation is a lot easier to follow than Abusive Romance because of how emotionally charged Baili Qingmiao is. She moves with her heart before moving with her head. And Wenzhao is the opposite. Even if he has these things inside of his heart, he's moving strategically. He's moving with his head. So it makes sense that Wenren E can follow her book a lot easier. That was pretty much the only note I had for that. Moving to chapter 29 notes, Poisonous Woman. It's interesting to hear the perspectives of Wenzhao's readers, the commenters. They are a lot different, of course, from the other book, and they support Wenzhao, which is also quite interesting. And I thought it was really funny, which of course we know men back in the day could have multiple wives and stuff like that in harems and blah, 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 blah in China. And so I just found it interesting, though, that he could marry multiple women, but she couldn't even run off with one man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand, from his perspective, if, she's his woman or whatever, and even if she doesn't have any malicious intent or romantic intent with these guys, seeing her run off with other men, I can understand, I guess, how that would make him frustrated if any of his wives did that. But it was just interesting. I was just like, okay. And, it kind of raised a good point. Even though she wasn't showing interest, I don't think, in these men. Yeah, she has just been running off with these dudes, Zhongli, Qian, Wenren E, and it's just kind of like, okay, I understand your jealousy that is building up in you, Wenzhao. Anyway, moving to chapter... Did I not have any notes for chapter 30? I did not. I guess we're moving to chapter 31, which is Happy Marriage. Jiehun. So, Hunying, actually, I think it is. I don't remember. That doesn't matter. So my first note that I have is actually for Wenzhao, since we're talking about him. How was it that he was disrespectful to Liu Xinye? That's what it said in there, that he knew that he was disrespectful to her. But wasn't he the one bedridden, about to die on his deathbed, and she was the one who came in and dual cultivated with him to bring his strength back up? So I'm not really sure how it's computing in his brain that he is the one who was disrespectful. Still don't like him as a character, but I can acknowledge that, like, my guy, she's the one who took advantage of you, so there's really no reason for you to be begging for forgiveness from Baili Qingmiao. And at the end of the day, Baili Qingmiao needs to realize that as well. Because obviously, if you were on your deathbed and you couldn't move or anything, how is it that you are the one that would have taken advantage of Liu Xinye? Despite any dalliances he may have had with women before that could raise suspicion in her and everything. You kind of just have to look at the situation. And so if Baili Qingmiao were to get upset with him because of what happened, it's kind of like, woman, I mean, let's just go ahead and, I guess, throw out that word. He was raped. That's because that's what it is. Even if he appreciates it, I guess, even if he was okay with it, which, you know, I mean, that does happen in real life, especially when it comes to men. When a woman puts herself on the man, a lot of times it's not even registered as rape, you know. And so, but that is what happened, you know, but no one's really thinking about it that way because his life was saved. Anyway, let's not go down that lane too much. The point is, I was a bit confused as to why he was the one begging for forgiveness when he was not the one that did anything wrong in that scenario. Still sticking with my personal opinion though, which I think someone also commented in earlier videos, he definitely should not have been asking Baili Qingmiao to go help him find a cure for Liu Xinye though. Like, they're love rivals, okay? She doesn't need to go with you while you go find the cure. I agree, sure, if it's in your heart to do so, that you should go and find it since that's what you want to do. But don't try to drag Baili Qingmiao in that mess. Absolutely not. But now, I said my quote in my notes for the day was blank blank for the win. So now it's Tsong-shoo-eh for the win. Woo! Y'all, I think I officially like her character now because she's hilarious. She is so funny. I appreciate the comedic relief that Qiu Congxue, I don't know what I said before, if I said her name right. I wrote it wrong in my notes, but Qiu Congxue for the win. Because she's hilarious, and the way she just presents things to you is so in your face, so out there, so unbothered by what other people think. And she's just like, well, I mean, he could just marry her. This y'all rule book, right? Well, then why don't she do it? And then they're like, yeah, but she's not at nascent soul stage. Okay, well, can she get there? She's only gonna live about 10 years, Baili Qingmiao. You're gonna live for hundreds of years. Just be patient. It's just so funny. Like, how can you not just... Okay. So, yeah. Qiu Congxue for the win. Next, the thing I want to say, in that moment, actually, when the marriage was mentioned and the girl was about to bash her own head in, and he, you know, wrapped his arms around her to keep her from doing so, when he was like, but I love, and then he stopped because he couldn't say that he loved Baili Qingmiao in front of Liu Xinye. To me, that's a red flag. If a man loves you, it doesn't matter who he's in front of. Even if he's in front of a woman that he's been with before, if he loves you, if he's in love with you, he's gonna say that crap. You know, he's not going to falter. So for me, if he told you in private that he loves you, but he can't tell you in public, in front of all those people, he does not deserve you. So anyway, moving on to chapter 32, which was the last chapter that we read, Shi Congxin's God. And yeah, so this was an interesting chapter. First, let me say congratulations to Qiu Congxue, because she has elevated, sorry, that was my alarm. She elevated to sect protector, or left protector, taking over Yeen Hanjiang's position, and he was elevated to basically sect leader B. Wenren sect leader A, him sect leader B. And so I thought that was pretty cool, because technically what she's been doing has been contributing, you know, way more than Shu Yanyan, way more than anyone else. Shoot, even more than Yeen Hanjiang. If anything, Wenren E's been running around trying to, you know, do things for him, even though right after the sect war or whatever, it was like, I'll save your life, you save my life, I save your life, you save my life, whatever. But yeah, good for her. Or what I say, Qiu Congxue for the win. for getting elevation. But it was kind of sucky, though, to see that now Shu Yanyan is upset because she clearly initially was happy she was back, as I said. But now knowing, the dynamic, the power shifts, now she's not happy. It would have been nice to see, like the two females have, even if it was a little catty or whatever, have a solid friendship with each other. So I hope things don't stay hostile between them, but they can actually become friends, because I think that would be cool. Two powerful females becoming friends, not two powerful females trying to bring each other down. Could we get enough of that in real life? I don't want to read about it. Anyway, my next thing. Oh, speaking of Qiu Congxue, I love that Baili Qingmiao is so faithful to her as, her being her master. It's nice because look at her blindfolded and everything and still like, if you touch my master, I'm gonna F you up, 10 times, 100 times over. It's like, girl, what are you gonna do? But I love it. Even though Qiu Congxue is part of the demonic sect and she does not know that, I'm wondering what her reaction will be when/if she finds out. Guess we'll see. Next, my second to last thing to say is, oh my gosh, that moment when Wenren was like, why are you looking down? Is there something wrong? Are you not satisfied? And then he was like, I don't like it when you kneel. I don't like it when you hide your face from me. I was like, oh. Ew. I was like, gosh, this is so good. Okay, anyway. Sorry. Let me calm down a little bit. I feel like I'm kind of unhinged at the moment. Yeah, very last thing I wanted to say, because the name of this chapter, let's talk about it. Shi Congxin. Yeah. So apparently he can't harm Baili Qingmiao because she's basically his god. He practices plagues of the body, basically, in the mind, and she was, I'm just call her the primordial god of plagues and disasters and stuff. And so it makes sense that he was not able to harm her. But now I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen as far as what Wenren wanted to accomplish, since Shi Congxin was not able to do this. Guess we'll see. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the reading. I feel like I fumbled a couple of times, but it's whatever. I can't wait to hear you all's comments. Well, I'm not gonna hear them. Well, I can if I read them out loud. I can't wait to see you all's comments. Anyway, I need to go because I have a flower watercolor symposium that I need to moderate. So you all have an excellent Monday. It's actually Sunday for me right now. I've been reading over Saturday and Sunday to get these chapters to you all. But yeah, have a lovely day, a lovely night, and I will see you all mañana and the day Houtian, the day after tomorrow. 我爱你们